Good morning, Charles. Take three
Something like that. Yeah.
on this one.
Welcome to this very special episode that is almost live. We're recording this at 9:20 on Monday morning, and as soon as you and I are finished, we're going to send it straight up to the cloud. And sorry that we're a few hours late, everybody.
Yeah.
But you're getting. I would hold up a newspaper for proof of life if I had one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm staying in a hotel, and they don't really do that automatic USA Today anymore like they used to.
No, I haven't seen that in a long time. Every once in a while, I would go to a hotel and see it right by the elevator. I'd see one copy on the buffet desk there, whatever, by the elevator. But yeah, not in front of the door in years now. Yeah.
I used to actually read that when I was traveling with your company back in the day, 10-15 years ago.
I did too. Yeah.
I would wake up early. I'd make the whatever terrible coffee you can make in the hotel room with the free coffee they provided. I
think it was pre-Keurig, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd read my USA Today to see what was going on in the world.
Yeah, I remember that. It was easy. It was an easy read.
Yeah, and I remember there used to be a thing where you could refuse the paper delivery and save like 50 cents a night on your room or something.
That's right. Oh my gosh, you're right. I remember that. Wow. Yeah, do they still? I don't think they still do the. I know Marriott was doing it for a while, where you could bypass the daily housekeeping, and then you'd get some extra points applied.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You never got money back, but it was always you get some points. I haven't seen that in a while. I don't let them. I don't want them coming in every day. I do it.
Oh, you do?
No, I do not.
Oh, you don't?
I do not. No, I leave them a tip as if they came every day, but I do not disturb the whole time. And then go ahead when I'm not a complete slob. I try to gather all the time, because I actually dated a girl who had a mother that used to clean hotel rooms. And so when I traveled with her, she gave me all these little tips to make it easier on the life of the person that was cleaning the hotel rooms, because she helped her mom once in a while. One of them is all the towels that you use and washcloths and everything else like that. Sometimes they're spread throughout the hotel from wherever you're using it.
Sure, yeah.
Just gather them all in one pile on the floor. And so now I'm taking them off the shower door. I'm taking off the nightstand, wherever that is, put them in one pile on the floor. And, I feel like I'm helping people out a little bit. So,
nice.
Something I took away from that relationship.
All right. I'll try to remember that. Towels in one place. And I'll try not to toss any of the chairs out the window like I often do, because I imagine somebody probably has to deal with that.
You and your rock star days.
Exactly.
You used to do that, throwing the chairs out the window.
Yeah. So not feeling too rock star right now. As we've been talking about nonstop for the last few days, my back is killing me because I'm old and I make unwise decisions. And it is. I really did something to my upper back, and so I'm trying to spend as much time in bed as possible, and not in a fun way, in a convalescing way. I don't know how people have the strength to handle any kind of chronic pain, man. I am not built for it.
Yeah. So how do you think that all kind of came to be?
I think I have probably been trying to add a little too much weight to the bar every time I've been getting under it in my squats and my overhead presses.
Okay.
And I think the 3 days a week is okay, but on my deadlifts, I've been trying to move up 10 or 15 pounds a workout. My squat, I've been trying to move up 10 pounds a workout. My overhead press, I've been trying to move up 5 pounds a workout, and I'm already getting a little close to, some of the areas where some of the numbers I've been plateauing at for the last few years. And it's just, I think I'm just trying a little too hard. Maybe my form's not staying as tight as it should. I noticed that my weight belt was probably one hole too loose, and I should have taken a break to tighten it up, and I didn't do that. And so, it's just irresponsibility. I mean, that's always the name of the game with me.
But I mean, you were pretty disciplined with going and doing this, I guess, are they considered starting strength workouts? Yeah.
It's still doing the starting strength lifts on the novice linear progression, trying to get back up to my limits with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know you were really disciplined doing that pretty consistently for a while. And then how long do you think you took a break for? before you started again recently?
Oh, let's see. It was whenever the lottery results came out for the Mount Whitney hike. When I didn't get, I guess that was probably March, I want to say.
Okay.
So I was off from March till June.
Okay. And you were still doing that type of lifting up till March.
Yeah.
Okay. So March till June, March, April, May. All right. So like 4 months about.
Yeah.
And then so do you feel like you went too fast too soon? Too much weight too soon? Because
Yeah.
I mean
I think so.
I mean, this is what, just the second week you've been
Yeah.
doing this?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
week number 2 is where
And you
I
went right
got in
in
trouble.
like 3 days a week for a little for
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
the 3 days a week's not the problem. If I started light enough and I took small enough bumps every workout,
okay.
I should have been with much lighter weight
Yeah.
than I was. So
So
I'm trying to decide right now, would it be in my interest to, even with my back hurt the way that it is right now, it's better at night than it is when I first wake up in the morning. Would it be a good idea to go into the gym and just do an empty bar workout with all of my 3 or 4 exercises that I'm doing, and just do it with the empty bar to sort of give my back a little bit of work to do? Or am I better off just trying to stay in bed as much as I can? I don't know.
I'm a fan of doing a little bit of movement if you
Yeah.
can, even though you don't feel like it. I feel like if nothing else, do go for some long walks, so that at a minimum, so that you're moving things around, because your body is, that also helps your lymph drainage and all of the stuff that needs to be repaired, all the toxins and all the all the damaged parts of your cells that need repairing, that gets carried away from, in your blood and your lymph. And by moving, you're moving that around, you're helping things out. And that's always helped me when I'm sore. And then, with injury, it might not be bad, to actually go through those movements with a really light, like just maybe bar only, or maybe start out with no bar and just do the movements and see how that feels before you even add the bar, and as long as you can hold back and not and resist putting actual weight on there, and potentially, because it feels good. I'll just throw a couple 25s on here.
No, I think I can I could dodge that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, man. I get this. I mean, I think we're all the same way. I mean, once we get back in there, like, well, I'm here, I might as well, I feel good, I'm going to push the envelope a little bit, get a little impatient. Yeah, that's sorry dealing with that.
It's all right. I mean, it's part of the, I'm going to be 45 here in a few months, and you gotta, the lifestyle I live, I get to act younger than my age a lot. The fact that I live alone, I don't have any kids, I live in my camper and I travel all the time. I've got, one could say I have a little bit of a Peter Pan mindset, and that certainly applies to the way I discipline myself at the gym too, where I feel like, I spend most of the time feeling younger than I perceived 44 years old would feel like when I was a younger man. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in right now. And so it has me, 10 years ago, I weighed 40 plus pounds more than I weigh right now. And so I felt worse than I feel all the time. I was always tired. I was always uncomfortable in my skin, and that's gone away. So now I think I'm invincible. And that is, in fact, not the case.
Well, it's a learning experience, right? You just got to figure out where you're at, and just fine tune it, and just be patient with yourself. That's the hard part for me is, it's like, okay, I'm trying to, I at 44 years old, I am trying to be stronger than I've ever been before. So naturally, my time in the gym isn't going to be just feely good, pleasant all the time. I'm going to have to deal with things being discomfort, and it's like, how do I know where to draw the line between, okay, this is a little uncomfortable, versus, okay, you're doing damage to yourself, because trying to get to a certain goal by my birthday, it's like stuff like this takes a couple weeks out of the equation, and then that makes me want to push even harder when I do get back in the gym, and it's like, can't do it. Yeah, well, I mean, I think you kind of figured out where your limit is,
Yeah.
and so now, you kind of got to back off from that a little bit, and just be okay with making progress, just not as much. So I think it's not about how much progress you're making each time. It's more about, are you making any progress each time,
Right.
even if it's a tiny little bit, and that it's kind of good timing that we're going to start with the Tiny Habits book next.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that might help solidify and give you a little bit more patience and put a little bit more, it did for me, and a little bit more value in the building of a consistent habit, rather than, and seeing the value in that, rather than as much value as we typically put into a destination, a goal,
Right.
And so the way Dr. Fogg puts together, it really kind of helps solidify that.
Yeah, I've done the math, and I really, if I was only adding 2.5 pounds to my lifts per workout instead of trying to do 5 or 10, if you could do 2.5 per workout and never injure yourself and never miss a week, then obviously that is much better long term than trying to do a bump that's too big and hurting yourself and having to sit out for a week and a half while you recover.
Yeah, and any progress too, also in the gym, is not a linear progression. It's not a straight line going up diagonally. There's going to be ups and downs. So again, I think for me is, if you go in with that mindset and knowing, sometimes you're not going to be able to lift as much, and it's okay. This is normal. There's not anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. You're getting older, and that's always around the back of my mind too. It's just this is just what is normal, and that goes a long way, having that mindset. And that kind of, I think it's a good segue into getting into section 5 here on self-doubt. With Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Dr. Julie Smith. We're talking about chapter 18 here, dealing with criticism and disapproval. And I guess this is, this kind of talks about the criticism and disapproval from other people.
Right.
But, I think we do plenty of that ourselves.
Yeah. And sections 5 and 6 were a couple of the most valuable ones for me in this book, because, man, my relationship with criticism and disapproval is I would venture to say not the healthiest, because I'm very black and white when it comes to that stuff. It's either when somebody offers me any level of criticism or disapproval, it goes to one extreme or another. Either, who are you to even tell me this? I could not care less about what your opinion is of me, and so I just discount it entirely. Or it's somebody on the short list of people who I really do care about their opinion, and it just destroys me that they have anything negative to say about me at all. And then, I internalize all of that, and it puts me into a shame spiral, and, who am I to let this person down? And,
oh, wow.
It's one of those two.
That's heavy.
Either I don't care, or it decimates me for, a week.
Yeah, well, then this chapter was written for you, because this is great. Because Dr. Julie gives you all those shades of gray in between those, that black and white, and one of the things I liked about this section too is she turns the commonly heard thing or phrase, affirmation, to not care what people think about you. She turns it on its head, because she basically goes, you can't not care about what other people think of you. It's completely unrealistic. And because that's how we're wired. That's our survival mechanism in our brain is, again, thousands of years ago, when we depended on a tribe of people, a community, to keep us, alive, we needed to care what they thought of us. Otherwise it meant, being ousted from the community, and that meant certain death. And so our brains haven't changed in those, few thousand years. And it's still, when we hear things from other people, it sometimes it hits home really hard. Or you get, sometimes a lot of people too, it's just like, you don't matter at all to me, but then I know sometimes in my mind, it'll still kind of linger a little bit, and I'll try to figure out, and a really bad habit is I will then, one part of my brain will know, hey, this person, they're not an expert in this field. They don't really know what they're talking about. And who are they to, criticize me negatively? And then I find myself almost looking for ways to attack them and diminish them on a personal level in order for the other part of my brain to go, yeah, you're right. They don't matter, but it's not for the right reasons. It's not because they don't have an experience, or is it because that's the way they communicate? And that's one of the things that I liked that she mentioned here that I kind of pulled out of here, is that sometimes people criticize because that's just the way they know how to communicate. And it's not necessarily a reflection of what you're doing. And so I never thought about it that way, but until I heard this, and then I thought of a few people that I know that seem to criticize a lot, and realize, yeah, you know what, there really isn't any validity to what they're saying. It's just the way they know how to communicate. And I thought that was really interesting in this chapter.
Yeah, I like that. I also like when she gets into the idea that you can become more resilient to criticism by, separating the mistakes you make are not who you are, and you can, realize, okay, I don't have to be perfect all the time in order to still be a good employee, a good husband, a good father, a good whatever. You can miss the mark sometimes without that commenting directly on your value as a fill in the blank, right?
Yeah. And she mentions a lot of times on, these days on social media, you make a post or a comment on something, and you might get, 50 positive remarks, and you get one negative one, and your mind ignores all 50 and just focuses on that negative one.
Right.
And that causes you anxiety and tension. And that just goes to show that we are pre-wired to focus on those things because we think it's a threat. Our brain thinks it's a threat, and it really isn't these days. And she talks about the spotlight effect that a few other psychologists have talked about, or psychiatrists, I should say, where basically it's our desire, our tendency as humans to think that the world kind of revolves around us, and we're always focused on us. And therefore we think that everybody else is focused on us too, because that's the way we're thinking. But when you really apply it to every person, no, they're not paying attention to you because they're paying attention to they have their own spotlight effect going on. They're worried about themselves. So a lot of times they may not be thinking about you at all. And that has helped me in the ballroom dancing area, because I feel like, I'm walking around like Frankenstein up there, and I don't know anything, and it's all fairly new to me. And when I first started doing it, I was like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. I'm an idiot here. But then I looked around, everybody else, like, they're looking at their feet. They're looking around. Nobody's looking at me. They're worried about themselves. They're all, and they're all learning too. And that really helped me go, okay, I can relax a little bit, and I kind of enjoy it. And making a mistake, I laugh it off. I see other people make mistakes, and they laugh it off. So, that spotlight effect is really applies in my case.
Yeah, we talked about the gym being the same way too, where people are intimidated, go to the gym. You're worried that, you're going to use a machine wrong, or you're not going to, and everybody's going to notice and laugh at you. But that is just not the case. Nobody cares. Everybody's worried about their own workout. They're not looking for newbies to tease and make fun of.
Yeah. I mean, part of the gray area she talks about here is we don't know everything is context is important, is in context, right? And a lot of times when somebody criticizes us, we don't know the context. We don't know their life experience, and it may not be important at all. And so it really, their one person's idea is kind of wrapped up in their own experience, she says. And so our natural instinct is to take on criticism as a factual statement and think that says something about who we are, but it's not. And we start questioning our own self-worth. But you gotta be a little bit humble and go, I don't know what's going on with this person. Like you might make assumptions, which is kind of arrogant to think about it, right? I know exactly where they're coming from, what experience they've had, but you don't. Most of the time you don't. And so to make that assumption is almost arrogant. So get off your high horse and realize that the person criticizing you, might not know, and it's likewise, they don't know your context either.
Right.
And your experience or your intentions.
Yeah, I think as humans, we often do want to trust the most urgent signal that we get, whether that's from our own emotions or from the criticism of another person. It's like whatever feels like it might be the most urgent, let's give that the attention. Because if it's true, oh no, what are we going to do? And so, we've got this, we're wired to look out for that risk and, assume that the biggest, potentially worst thing that is in front of us is the thing that we need to be focusing on and trusting and spending our time dealing with, when often, at least in the West in modern times, that's just not the case.
And one of the keys to, I think, being able to do that, she talks about in the next chapter, is the key to building confidence is really, you can't build that confidence until it's not there, right? In order to grow something like your confidence, you got to get out of that comfort zone. And she gives a couple of good examples of how to do that in this chapter, where you're not going to be completely overwhelmed by the challenge you put yourself into when you're out of your comfort zone. So that I liked this chapter too.
I was thinking about this the other day. For men in particular, it seems like for a lot of us, once we get finished with high school or college or the military, it's like we don't really do a whole lot of things that stretch us and ask us to try something new that we are not sure if we're going to be able to succeed at,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is something important for men in particular is find a hobby or a sport or something that occasionally puts you in a position where you have to attempt something you're not sure if you're going to be able to pull off, and obviously do it in a safe way where when it doesn't work out, you're not ruining your life or something like that. Don't just go out there and hijack a plane or something like that, decide you want to see if you can be a pilot. But definitely take on some things that can challenge what you're already good at and make you stretch a little bit, because the feeling of pulling off something new like that it does translate to other areas. I mean, you're a person that can learn new things, and you're a person that can pull off something that you haven't pulled off before, and that does help you on the next project or the next whatever you have to take on.
Yeah. So what's interesting here is, as you were talking about that, it kind of made me realize that when you're building confidence in that new area, you're not just building confidence in that new area, you're building confidence in yourself that you can take on new challenges as well.
Exactly.
So there's two things that are happening at the same time here. And one might be a little bit more obvious than the other. So, just as you said, you're going to build that confidence, and, courage is not confidence, right? So courage is being willing to do that thing, to take action, even in the face of fear, even when you're feeling a little bit fearful. And what's nice is here, she kind of, gives a good example of how to move forward with that. If for example, if you have a fear of being in social situations, and, ultimately the biggest thing that scares you is going to a party. She says, that's not where you start, right? Maybe you write out a couple other things, like maybe something that's similar to that. So maybe it's dinner with a few close friends. And then you write out something that's maybe even easier, such as, meeting a friend at a cafe. And what you do is you start where you feel a little bit out of your comfort zone, but not totally overwhelmed. And then you just repeat that over and over again until that becomes your comfort zone. So maybe that's going to dinner with a few friends. You just repeat that over and over again. Once you're in that comfort zone, then the next step is going to that party where you don't know anybody. And I thought that was a real nice way of going through that, giving the person some power and control, and going, okay, I don't need to. It's like where you get that. If you've heard of that exposure therapy, if you're afraid of spiders, someone just throw you in a room of spiders and put them on your face. Like that's what I think of. And this is a little bit more mild than that.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, it does help. That was one of the things that Peterson talked about in his book, where we do have the choice of, you can either decide you want to help someone become stronger, or you want to make the world softer. And there's one of those that never works and one of them that always does. You can't make the world softer. All you can do is try to make people stronger.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the only way to do that is to pull off small things that you're not sure you can do. And then that gives you the courage to try bigger things. All right. I just found out that this lovely hotel has checkout at 10 a.m. instead of 11, like a real hotel.
What?
So I know, I've never heard of a place, and they would not give me a late checkout when requested. So I've got about 10 more minutes.
All right.
And I think that's enough time to get through the rest of the section. But yeah, I've not stayed at a 10 a.m. hotel.
I've
hotel.
Never heard of a 10 a.m.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Unless it was like a private, like a non-chain, but even then it's 11. The Hilton, how's that possible at 10?
I don't know. Yeah, so that's crazy. So we're
wow. All right. Well, we're giving Hilton a minus for this experience right now.
Yeah, if I wasn't already diamond or whatever with them, I would really I don't know.
So wait a minute, you're diamond and they won't let you stay an hour?
Well, I'm diamond, but when you buy the room on Priceline, your diamond status doesn't matter.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
If you use Priceline and you get a way lower price than you would be able to get booking directly, then they have no use for you. They treat you like cattle.
Oh, wow. So that goes right into chapter 20. You are not your mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah. It's this is a hard chapter for me. At least it was the first time that I read it, where I do have a little bit of this nice guy perfectionism where
Sure.
I hold myself to the standard of everything. For me, it was, I've said before, it's not no more Mr. Nice Guy, it's no more Mr. Perfect Guy, because that is the thing that I shoot for. Is I've got to be perfect in all my interactions. I got to be perfect in mostly my social interactions. Those have to go perfectly, otherwise I failed at the thing that I was trying to accomplish. And being able to acknowledge those failures and be realistic about them and not be defined by them is certainly a challenge for me. And it does, one of the things she talks about is don't let that failure lead you to try to numb yourself and say, okay, it doesn't have to feel good. I'm just going to pretend like this doesn't bother me, blah, blah, blah. And then that just leads to repression and resentment, which, again, we see so much overlap between this book and some of the other ones that we've looked at, where these bad behaviors of you trying to soothe yourself that's not actually addressing your problems, they only lead you to build up pressure that's going to explode at some point down the road.
Yeah. And the other side of this too is what happens to me is I have perfectionist tendencies, and I end up talking myself out of doing something, and I end up not doing anything because I feel like it's not going to come out perfect, or it's not going to be exactly the way I want it. Right. And so I fail in advance. And so because of my perfectionist tendencies. So that's the other side of the coin. So, and she does talk about that in this chapter as well.
Yeah, there could be some of those on my part where it's like, okay, if I don't feel like I've got the time and space to prepare for whatever this thing is that I want to do, if I can't sufficiently prepare for it, I'll just say I'm not going to do it at all, because why try and fail when you could just skip it and say, it's not for me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I guess I don't know if that happened a couple of times when we went out dancing at some of the the ballroom clubs, and I know a couple of ladies try to help kind of guide you a little bit, and I don't think we're as helpful as they sold themselves to be. And I've been in that situation too, and I'm just like, I never told you I could dance this dance, and then so I know how you feel with that.
Yeah, and that's the one of the mistakes that we often make is the idea that if you feel badly enough about your imperfections, that will be the thing that spurs and motivates you to change. And her last chapter in this section is about, no, you don't get better at anything by hating yourself enough at how bad you currently are. Yeah,
that's not going to get you motivated to do anything.
Which is difficult because, you do have this, I think as a culture, we have that idea that, if I decide I weigh too much or I'm not in good enough shape. If I just hate myself enough, that'll motivate me to make the changes I need to make. And it's like, no, that's never the thing that works.
Yeah, no. I mean, is that how you would talk to a pet or a friend?
Right.
Like, damn, you're fat. Get in the gym. Like, you
Right.
think, would you ever dare, like, wow, you are so lazy. Why don't you, like, that level of criticism? I mean, all it's going to do is end your relationship. Like, it's not, I mean, so to talk to yourself like that. And she talks about, I don't know if it was this chapter or a little bit later on, but you need to be your coach, your own coach.
Right.
So if you were coaching yourself, how would you talk, how would you talk to yourself? If or what would that person look like talking to you? What would those words coming out of their mouths, what would that sound like in your ideal situation? That's the way you need to talk to yourself.
Yeah, and there are definitely, there are some coaches that talk to the people that they're coaching that way, but they're never the most successful ones. They're never the top tier ones.
No, that's always the I think the joke example usually is that personal trainer that makes you puke on that first day and stuff like that. Just like I know a few people have told me stories where they've worked with a personal trainer the first day they got them to puke, and I'm like, oh, how long did you train with them? No, just that once. Or it was like maybe like a week or a month, and then after that, no more. Well, they're going about it, the wrong way, I think. So you don't get someone to do new things by making them feel bad. That never works.
I had that exact experience with a personal trainer in the Orlando area. There used to be, Orlando had a dinner theater. After the television show American Gladiators ended, there was an American Gladiators dinner show on 192 in Kissimmee.
No way.
And I hired a personal trainer who was one of the American Gladiators. She was, I forget what her name was, but she was one of the American Gladiators. I did one session with her, and she made me vomit, and I never went back.
I wonder if that's just like a source of pride for personal trainers. Any personal trainers out there, write in, mindfullymasculine@gmail.com and let us know. Is that something like you guys go, oh, I made 12 of my clients puke yesterday? Like, is that, do they brag about that? Like, they sit around and go, well, how many did you make puke? I mean, because it seems to be a pretty common thing.
Yeah, I don't know if and how many of us come back for a second session after we puke the first one. I mean, that doesn't sound fun.
No, I can't imagine that's good for business. So I don't know. I mean, I don't understand I understand the ego there, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, maybe they're hardcore and they're like, no, if somebody's not into that, then I don't want them as a client.
Could be. Yeah. I like puking. I mean, I don't know. I just not for me, man.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, this is, I've got a couple minutes left for me to gather up all my luggage and get out of this room before they send the police after me. So, I know 10 o'clock, crazy. But I do. The next chapter is even tougher for me. The one on fear and anxiety, that one's brutal. So, but I think this one leads into it very well. So I hope everybody enjoys, I shouldn't say enjoys this book. This book is rough. The chapter on grief, the chapter on failure. I mean, these are some rough things, but I think I brought good stuff out of it when I read it the first time.
Yeah, there's solutions here. That's my biggest thing, man. Yeah, I'm cool with the rough stuff, but you give me a way out, and she does in a very quick and easy way. So I don't have any problem with the rough stuff, and hopefully neither do you. So all right,
necessary.
Sir. Let's let you check out of there, and then get back in touch with me when you're ready to go for the next one.
Absolutely, we'll do.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.